Hello, Sanityzer.
That's
How?
me.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's finally the heat has started to subside in Montreal, and I know you mentioned you had been here for a bit, but it gets hot. It gets hot, and it's such an extremity that it's just my brain shuts down for a few weeks, and I'm just absolutely useless. So I feel like I'm human again. So I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, that's good. Anyway, before we get into this, maybe just introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure.
Your musical background, where you're coming from, because people might not know you yet.
Not me.
Yeah,
Not they don't know me yet.
they might.
Shocking. Anyways, okay. So my history with music's a long one. I come from a very musical family. I'm not from Montreal. I've lived here for 5 years now. I'm from a small island, Newfoundland. It's on the east coast of Canada. It's a province. A very musical place. So my music history, I was actually a jazz musician for years. I played stand-up bass, upright bass. That's what my friends joke. I'm the shortest stand-up bass player ever. But
How tall are
yeah,
you? How tall are
I,
you?
I'm 5'8", so like normally, which is I guess is not that short, but like all the bassists that I knew were like easily six feet tall. I'm just I'm speaking from my small experience, but no pun intended. But there's I guess there was a bit of a joke because I was shorter than my instrument, so that was my friends loved that. But I digress. I played in jazz combos for years. We did quite well actually, but jazz. I love jazz. I always will. But it was. I guess I had more fun. I did a lot of switching around from genres throughout the years. Like I was in jazz, but then I moved to Toronto for a few years with a punk band. I was the electric bassist for a band called The Sketch, and that was a lot of fun. We had a bit of a reputation for being partiers. We put a lot of emphasis, besides the music, on like our stage performances. We would dress up in really fun costumes. That was a lot of fun, but unfortunately, that I guess we were all in our early 20s, so we were all pretty disorganized. So I think if we had more discipline, I think we probably could have stuck it out a lot longer. But unfortunately, that disbanded. And then from there, I lived in British Columbia for a bit. Just a guitar teacher. I'm a guitar teacher in my that's not my day job, but it is how I in various cities I made I paid my bills, just teaching families and stuff, children, teenagers mostly, but sometimes I'd get like the occasional I guess older person who always wanted to learn and they wanted a comfortable environment, so I would teach them Johnny Cash or whatever. I'd learn the songs they liked. And then I moved to Montreal. I was actually in a two-piece country punk duo. I played guitar and I sang, and one of my really, really good friends played banjo and he sang, and that was really cool. And I don't know how much you remember of Montreal, but Montreal is really friendly to buskers, people who like to play that. Yeah, so that's how
Montreal is really friendly. Period.
I think so. I agree. I've lived in a couple of cities in Montreal. I think Montreal's is looking like it's going to be my permanent city. It's going to be my home base, unless things change, of course, as it stands. Montreal is an amazing place for musicians. There's just so many ways you can make money with music in Montreal. I mean, you can do it in other cities too, but Montreal is really set up for it. Like the busking program in Montreal is fantastic. All the metros have all the metro stations, not all of them, but a lot of them have specific areas dedicated for buskers, which is fantastic. I didn't see that.
And they're also heated during the winter because have you had a winter in Montreal yet?
Oh yeah,
because they're long and they're really. I mean, I remember longing for the sun, Anyway, so the subways are heated, and you have these underground cities. Basically, it's really. It's a really strange, cool. I love Montreal, but just continue. Sorry.
No problem. No, interrupt me anytime. Don't worry. I talk a lot, so I'll get back to it. And anybody will tell you from where I'm from, we're very musical, we're very chatty. We like to talk a lot, but and I think that's a good thing. But anyway, so Montreal busking, that's where I paid my bills doing that. Like it was amazing. I paid my rent and bills. Like for the first time in my life, I think I'd been able to actually successfully pay for my life with music, and it wasn't always easy. As you pointed out, the winters are tough here and long. So you do need to know where to go. But there is like it's actually pretty organized. Like you have to like to be able to busk. You need to sign up. Like you need to communicate with the other buskers. Like there are like the dedicated time slots for everybody. So it's very organized. Sometimes some people don't always adhere to the organization, and that can be stressful. Like if you sign up, you have to wake up early. You have to wake up at 5 a.m. You'd have to get to these metro stations as soon as they open. You have to be waiting outside the door for them to open, and you get in, and there's a sign-up sheet. If the sign-up sheet's not there, you make it. So it's kind of like a do-it-yourself community. Now, if you show up, if you show up without signing anything, you just kind of walk on in like you own the place. Like people are going to have problems. People are going to say something. So you don't want that. Like you don't want to like, especially if you're a new young guy in town, and I'm Anglophone, and this is obviously a French city. I know personally, I'm not going to get into that. I've never had any sort of problems. I love the people here. Everyone's been super amazing. But you don't want to piss anybody off right away, especially. So you
Tabernacle.
You'll get that. You'll get that. Yeah. Oh yeah. You understand. But yeah. So I strived really hard to be a part of the community here, and I've made a lot of friends.
How long have you been in Montreal now?
About 5 years now.
Oh,
I've been,
okay.
That's
a long time.
A long time. But I had a break in the middle. I lived in Paris. I lived in Europe actually. Paris for a year, and I was a guitar teacher there as well. And I think I had an advantage there because being an English speaker, it was kind of like a double win. Like fairly wealthy families would want their children to learn guitar, but also practice their English. So it was like I was a bit of a double teacher there for a lot of people. But so Paris was amazing. But Montreal's my home. I love Montreal. It's my city. It's affordable. It's very kind to musicians here. I mean, the winter's not kind to anybody here, but you find ways. I mean, obviously during coronavirus, things, and Montreal was hit hardest during the whole thing. I mean, it's still kind of going on, and I'm sure it'll come back. But it's so live shows have obviously, I'm sure for all around the world, live shows have just died. But here, when it's not coronavirus, I mean, prior to this, it's a great place. Like there's so many places you can play. No matter what your genre is, no matter what your niche, there's always going to be a group for you here. Like that's what I've lived in many cities, and I found Montreal. You can be like like the club scenes are good, but there's also like the underground punk bars are amazing. There's always outdoor shows, indoor shows. Obviously, like I don't know, like Montreal, like from my personal experience, is the friendliest city to musicians and artists, and I would highly recommend any Canadian or anybody really to experience.
I completely agree. This is I was just talking with a coworker today about it, because Montreal is the city. If you ask me where I would, if I need to vacate from Germany and I need to go somewhere, I would go to Montreal. It's so friendly, it's so open, and it was one of the best. And orderly. I remember I was there in wintertime, and then there was like 40 centimeters of snow, or even 50 centimeters in one night, right? Yeah. And it was really, and I was, how can you ever walk on the sidewalk? And in 2 days they scrape everything. They have little things, that kind of and they truck it out of a town. And as I moved there, I give it back to you. When I moved there, I was living with 3 Chinese guys, and they told me I was moving there in the summertime, and we were like, and we picked this place because it's very close to the metro. Yeah. So you don't have to walk much. And I was like, these guys, they are really, lazy. And then I realized what they meant. In the wintertime, it's really an advantage if you can go right into the metro and then go everywhere from in between the metro or from inside the metro.
I mean, yeah, like if the metro's like 10 minutes away and the weather's bad enough, you might not make it. You know what I mean? It's like like you'll like the snow is one problem, but like ice, I find like where I come from, the snow is actually worse, but it doesn't get as like icy and dangerous. I do find Montreal, yeah, it can like the sidewalks can be just like they'll get rid of the snow, but then they have it covered in a layer of ice, and then especially if you're carrying instruments and equipment and stuff, it can be a bit treacherous. But yeah, I again, besides the winter, like you learn how to get through the winter. You learn how to seal up your house because but yeah, I mean, I would recommend Montreal to anybody who obviously, again, not now coronavirus, but all things being equal, I would recommend anybody who's from starving artists to you just want to come to a big city. Montreal is the place. Is the place to be. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing for me was, as I was living there, that it was actually quite tough to meet real Quebecois. You know, I met so many foreigners because there's so many foreigners there, and this was also great because we helped each other. We have this, I don't know if you used this, we have, or if it's still going on, they had this free French lessons for foreigners.
Yeah.
So I could get free French lessons, and it was everyone helped each other. It was great, and I met a few Quebecois, of course, but mostly I met foreigners from all over the world. It was such a melting pot. I really it was a great experience. I really loved it.
I had a similar experience to that. I mean, in Montreal, of course, but in Paris actually. And so anybody who has like been an expat in Paris might understand. It's very similar in Montreal. Yeah, as you pointed out, like you might not actually meet that many people who are Quebecois. Like Montreal is a city of 4 million, including the greater area. But the quickest growing languages are Arabic, for example. So like Montreal, as you pointed out, is people from all over the world. It's an amazing city. You will find many people from other cities who are in the same position as you, so it's easy to make friends who like are both you're trying to learn French, for example, or you're trying to getting an apartment can be kind of crazy here because I can't say exactly why yet. It's still a mystery, but it's you have to lock down apartments, and it's very helpful to know other people who might be able to say, hey, listen, my friend's moving out. Check this place out. Yeah, so yeah, like the groups of expats and stuff like those will you'll find similarities in it's an international city. Like you'll find similarities in Paris. I'm sure Berlin. Are you in Berlin? Like you said, you're in Germany.
No. I'm in Germany. I'm 300 kilometers away from Berlin. I'm in a small city. It's called Jena. Okay. We have some rise to fame here that we were the first planetarium. I don't know how to say it. The first. There's a lot of optical stuff we do here, and so anyway, I don't. I want to go back to you because it was my fault. I distracted you. No. Please go on. I want to get to. So we were at your duo, your folk punk duo, kind of, with your friend who plays the banjo. Yep. And because I want to get to where I met you, basically, because I met you as Sanityzer. And so please go on to get to this point so that we can talk about it.
Yeah, gladly. Now, a big part of Sanityzer, obviously, is the aesthetic and the branding and just the feel in the mood. A lot of it came from, I guess, coronavirus Sanityzer, obviously, but it just obviously, like, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about politics or anything, but there is a bit of a cloud over the earth right now. Everyone's not certain about the future, and that is really what I'm capturing is just the sheer uncertainty. Like, are we going to be okay? I personally think that a lot of us will be okay, but things are different, and things will be different, and that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. Now, it's an electronic, industrial, with a lot of, I try and take influences from EBM, for example, just some repetitive noise, but very rhythmic. I personally, like, writing melodies has never been my strong suit. I've always been a lot more trying to capture the rhythm and the movement of the music that I'm trying to create. But yeah, like it. As you now know, like, a lot of my history is kind of all over the place. So I'm doing my best to try and take from my previous experiences and incorporate that into my music. Now, you've only actually heard like one song, possibly a couple on my on my SoundCloud, but
Yep.
that's more of my direction is now. Like, I want to. My brother plays cello, for example. I want to get him I want to, for example, I want to try and loop his cello playing
Oh
and
yeah,
add
this would be
cool
nice.
effects
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, it would be gorgeous. Trying to get a real ringing sound. Like, most of my music, you can't really see much. I got a keyboard behind me. I have a guitar and a bass over there. Most of my music right now is just from my it's synthesized from my DAW. With Ableton, I use Ableton, which is absolutely completely different from what I used to do. Like, I'm not used to just creating music by myself in my room. I've never really been much of a bedroom producer, as people call it. I've always been with bands. I've always been with other people, like touring, doing shows, just partying, I guess. Like, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. Like, it's very important, I think. But don't party too much. That's, some people go that way. But yeah, but so now it's a completely new experience, and I think it's I was kind of forced into it a little bit by the pandemic. I had actually intended. My brother also lives in Montreal, and we had intended on doing a two-piece band, but because of quarantine and stuff, we just never found the time, obviously. And we want to be responsible, so we weren't going to each other's houses for months. Like, I hadn't seen anybody for months. But so I had to kind of learn how to do it on my own. I was always pretty good with, like, a variety of instruments. So my father is a drummer; he's an amazing drummer, and my brother is a cellist. I play bass, stand-up bass, piano, guitar. So I've always had a variety of instruments. So I find myself kind of privileged. I'm able to bring all those experiences and sounds and all the instruments that I did learn into my bedroom producing, essentially. And yeah, so it's a completely different experience going from being in studios, doing live shows, playing busking, for example, to just being by myself in my room, trying my best to promote myself on the internet. So, if anything, you've actually caught me at a really interesting time, because this is the start of my journey, learning how to modernize myself into the new music industry. Which so I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of growing in that direction. Like, it used to be, like, at one point in my life, I was standing on the side of the road with CDs. You know what I mean? Like, trying to like that didn't really work out at the time. It definitely wouldn't work now. But so I don't know if people would do that all that much anymore. Playing shows is fantastic, but you can't do that now either. So yeah, it's like, you're witnessing a lot of. Hopefully not too much of a scramble, but I'm trying to modernize myself, trying to allow myself to be ready for, like, any future changes, like Spotify. I'm having to learn a lot about Spotify. All of that was, like, before I started this adventure. A lot of that was kind of background noise, and you can't ignore it anymore. Like, I had all these plans for tours and stuff, and that just again, someday you would have to do it, as far as I know. But yeah, it's this whole project is a lot of, like, just trying to be a modern, forward-looking project and musician, and rather than trying to, like, figure out what previous musicians are doing, I'm trying to learn new ways to do things.
Okay. And kind of, as a pandemic forced you to your bedroom, basically. So,
Yeah.
and now you have to, because you cannot play shows anymore, or busking or something. So you try to figure this out. So, and you're on SoundCloud, and
Yep.
you're not on Spotify yet, or are you?
I am now on Spotify as of, between the time, like, you and I were talking. I put a demo on there so I can claim my profile, because I wanted to be able to push my songs to the playlist curated by the editing team, and that's, from my understanding now, that is a huge way you can boost your audience. just I guess playing the game, I guess with Spotify, like you'll push a song out weeks in advance, and so you can submit it to the editorial team, and if if it works out for you, they can put you on many curated playlists that would reach many people. I've read lots of positive reports and stuff about these this tactic. Also, trying to like my small audience, like a couple of people who know who I am, trying to get them to pre-save my song. All like it seems like just the hustle. It's more of the hustle, but it's a new kind of hustle. Whereas before, I would have gone to a show, for example, and spoken to people and maybe handed out a CD, or eventually that became a flash drive, USB drive with some of my MP3s. I mean, I think now looking back, like I think that's kind of crazy, because if someone handed me a flash drive, anything could be on that. So like I don't know, like just trying to do anything you can. But now a lot of my networking is completely online, like from my home. So it almost feels like it's not like always effective, but like then I see my streams go up from some playlists I might have reached out to, or so there's a huge learning experience, and I think I think a lot of people are finding this frustrating. Some people find it really easy, and I see like a lot of people who are like and maybe I'm just insecure about my own success sometimes, but I see a lot of people who are a bit younger who just kind of have more of a knack for this kind of thing. Share like growing an audience through YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and then funneling those fans into your Spotify and using those people to really boost you up in the algorithm. It's all about algorithms and stuff these days as well. So that's another thing that I'm trying to learn.
I just had a talk the other day with another musician about it, because I'm kind of, what I'm doing here is basically also kind of being an influencer. And I also have my own playlist. So that's why I ask also, I want to put your music on my playlist. And I started the playlist from scratch. I started by 0, and I have it now with 1,200 followers.
Congrats,
so, I mean, yeah, it's and we talked about how I got from 0 to where. And it's really, it's a lot of, how you say, grunt work, or really just doing the grind. I wrote to over 900 people to get my first 300 followers and stuff. So it's like you said, it's a new game. It's sometimes I dislike it because it's, oh man, do I really have to do that? I guess you have the same, like I just want to make music, right, and let the music speak for itself. But on the other hand, if you don't do anything today, people can make music on their smartphones and say, "Oh, that's my song," and they just changed the whatever, the drum pattern, and so there's an ocean, there's a real big flat and an avalanche of music, so you need to kind of stick out and this is kind of what I'm trying to do also. I try to feature artists I find interesting, and I have a very small following, but it grows, and every little things help. So that's why I will put your song later on my playlist if I find it.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So I mean, you hit it right there. It can be frustrating, but it's I think we're in the adjustment period. This is like, it really feels like only through my research articles, only like 5 or 6 years ago were people kind of mentioning Spotify. Okay, like Spotify is definitely something you have to consider, and now it's the thing to consider. It's if like all roads lead to Spotify, it feels like if you're not actively trying to funnel your fans into Spotify or some platform. Like, as I don't know what else could be as big as Spotify right now, honestly. Like I mean, you have other platforms like Deezer or Google Play or iTunes, but they all seem kind of secondary to Spotify right now. Yeah, so it's just how do you get people in the door, and that's why I appreciate talk shows like what you have. I was going through a couple of your previous shows, and they had some very, very helpful. Alex, I think one of his name was, like, very helpful tips on Spotify, SoundCloud rather. Sorry, Yeah, so I mean, it's like how do you stand out from the crowd? And that's like before it was like how did we stand out in the crowd? Like my old punk band, we had no problem doing that. We would all wear like ripped up wedding dresses with blood all over our faces and throw like stuff into the audience, and we had beer gun like water guns full of beer and stuff like that. We do crazy things, and like that would people would remember that. People would like come to the shows. People would stop me in the streets and be like, "Hey, I saw your act, and that was really cool." They might not even be talking about the music all the time. I mean, I know the music was good, like, but yeah, so. Like
you might not be very objective, but I grant you that.
Yeah. I like obviously we all like to think we're objective, but no, I understand. I'm completely biased.
No, it was just joking.
No, of course. Yeah. So I'm still learning at this point how to stand out, and one thing I want to experiment with is actually live shows through YouTube, for example. I've been paying attention to a couple of artists that have been doing some live shows, and a couple of big names from previous eras who are starting to like, I guess, trying to find ways to stay relevant. Like, I don't know, like now I was never really a huge fan of his, but his like little live shows on YouTube are actually really funny. Little John, like, he's been like, everyone knows who he is. I don't know if anyone actually likes his music all that much, maybe personally, but he's been doing these live shows. They're just so interesting. Like, I don't like the music, but I can't take my eyes off it because it just I don't know. It just there is something to say about actually watching the people make the music, or I guess in his case, just play the music live. So I'm leaning towards that as well. I think like because we really don't know how long this stuff is going to be going on for. And I know I'm not going to turn this into a huge conversation about coronavirus, but that has affected. As you know, it has affected everybody. It's just it's changed the game, and we don't know if it's going to be a long-term thing, if it's going to keep coming back. So I would recommend to anybody to try and solidify your online presence, and to try and make like I see people having shows with tens of thousands of people just watching from their living room, and they can donate in. I mean, they're not paying anything a lot of the time to see the show, but these people can actually make. I see people making hundreds of dollars a night, just receiving donations on YouTube. They're called super chats. It's incredible, and I really feel that you really need to capitalize on these changes early. That's why I'm working hard now, so I can establish myself, or at least even if you don't have a huge audience, at least get good at what you're doing. Because it's a whole different ballgame. It can be really awkward sometimes if you're trying to like keep an audience captivated, but it's even more awkward when like you're in your living room and they're in their living room, and they're not kind of like if you have like 100 people in a bar, they're there. They're not likely going to leave. Maybe really bad, maybe they will, but I've never had that happen to me. I've never had a bar clear out, but like I've seen people with shows, and they might have 100 people watching, and as soon as they stop, like all these people are just gone, and they have to try it again. So that's another learning experience as well. Like, how do you get people in the door? How do you keep people in the door when they have so many options? They like if the moment they get bored, they can just switch to a different channel. So that's another experience. That's another another learning experience, I guess. Yeah, that everyone's going to have to kind of take up.
Yep. No, I got it. So, but I mean, you seem to have put a lot of thought into this already. I mean, because you cannot basking anymore. I guess that's why you checked other people how to do things. I wanted to say something and I forgot. But okay, let's circle back to the beginning of our conversation, because you said you started in jazz bands. And this is a little bit odd for me, because jazz is kind of, the highest level of music you can kind of get to, and then later you played in punk bands. So it's kind of backwards for me.
Yeah.
So you got a very good musical education from your home, or how did it happen?
Well, I guess like to demystify that, I mean, I was doing all this as a teenager, right? I started in jazz as a teenager, which is amazing. What an amazing experience, and I love it. I love jazz. I love playing it. But I I was a teenager. I wanted to drink and party. And the jazz clubs were cool, the jazz places we would play, but they were a lot more formal. I found, and I guess it's not like I wasn't playing like these jazz bars like you would have got in like the, I guess 40s, 50s, and 60s, and moving forward, like it was like a lot of these jazz clubs I would go to were very calm, very like it was not exactly how I wanted to rebel, and so
more like a lounge kind of thing
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, and a lot of stage performances, which is amazing, but these were like not like shows per se. Like you didn't have people up and dancing, and that wasn't like that. I wanted to get people up and dancing a lot more. Like I guess it's just the kind of like the places that I had found that we've been playing, which is a lot of fun, amazing experiences. Just wasn't giving me that kind of energy that I had been looking for at that part of my life. So I remember I forgot a part. I was actually in kind of like just a rock band, a general rock band, indie, I guess, for a while, for a couple of years, because just through like associations, friends of mine had, and being a bass player, I don't know if like it's the same where you guys are, but like
I know a bass player, if you're a good, it's the best is a drummer. If a drummer has like 5 bands usually, if he's really good, and the bass player, he has a lot of bands usually.
And I always felt bad for drummers because they have so much equipment, they have so much to deal with. And I see this because my dad is a drummer, right? And he so I grew up just watching him just pack it all up, like take it to a show, take it to a jam, his friend's house, or like band practice. And now a lot of the places that we would play would have most of a drum set, but sometimes like the drummer would have to like taxi all his stuff down. So I always felt pretty lucky that I had as a bassist, and I would recommend anybody starting off to take a bass. I mean, I'm biased again, but I found that I got a lot of the same respect that drummers got, not quite as much because like it's like I understand, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have to deal with all that extra stuff. So like I would just kind of show up with my and being a bass, a lot of the times you can just direct input. Like you wouldn't even need to have an amp. Also for some of these shows, they'd be like, oh, the bass player, just show up with your bass and we'll plug you in. And then the drummer it was always way harder. So I got the best of both worlds. I would have a lot of people asking me to be in their bands, but I wouldn't have to do all that extra work a drummer would have to do, per se. And so I was just in kind of a rock band of sorts, and my hometown, St. John's, Newfoundland, is not that big. So if you play a couple of bars, then you're going to start to see some of the same circles, same groups of people,
faces, basically.
Same faces. And I can't remember exactly what had happened. I'm sure there was lots of beer involved, but I ended up in a punk band, a ska punk band. And we were all dishwashers. That was what the appeal. Like all of us were dishwashers for our own respective restaurants that we worked at. So we called ourselves the Dish Pit Mafia. And so that band is what got me into the real punk scene, because they wanted me to play because I had obviously shown, I guess, some skill as a bass player coming from jazz. A lot of the punk bassists wouldn't be able to do the more complex ska.
Ska is important. The bass is quite important because the guitar usually just plays, very, very simple. And I think the bass is the most important in ska. If you have a horn section or something, of course, they are also important, but usually bass. Yeah, it's more bass driven.
Yeah. Now to find horn players that were willing to do our antics on stage was like we couldn't find too many of them. So I'm sure they're out there, but like like the ska community where I come from was mostly punk rockers who just did other things as well. I found it hard to find jazz musicians or other horn players, and I knew a fair amount. I found it hard for them to come to us. So we had a lot of people try and learn trumpet, and it never worked out well. Anyway, so I'm rambling, but so that ska band, now I remember they asked me to play because I could do some of those more complex, like do 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 do, like just continuous, just running high energy bass lines, and being on tempo was hard to come by in a lot of that community I found. So yeah, so that's how I got into punk rock. I mean, I was already listening to it anyways, but yeah. So from there, I was introduced to a lot of other bands. There was a band, The Sketch. They were actually that I joined. They'd been around for a few years. They'd already had a bit of a name for themselves, not just in my hometown, but like in other cities around Canada as well. So they asked me to play, and the ska band was starting to kind of fall apart a bit. So this punk band seemed really promising, and it was. And we moved to Toronto together. That was an experience. And now Toronto is not the same as Montreal for music. For starters, it's way more expensive to live. So it's you have less room to like it's every day you have to like try and make your money, and you're going to be working some crappy job, and that's a given. But in Montreal, I found it's less. Like you don't have to do that crappy side as much because everything's a lot cheaper to live here. Like the apartments are cheaper, transportation's cheaper, food's cheaper. Like it's just more affordable. So again, I'll tell any new musician to go to Montreal, not Toronto. For that reason, Toronto is a beautiful city, amazing place. But anyway, so I was in a punk band in Toronto, and that was it was cool. But it just felt like that we were always behind. Like it always I mean we were all in our early 20s. We just trying to learn how to navigate the big city while trying to learn how to grow our band, and we're doing pretty good. Like we sold out a lot of shows. We played some big stages. We opened for some pretty cool Canadian punk bands over the years. But geez, I don't it's been a while now. But so we had a good time, but it just I don't know I guess maybe we didn't take it seriously enough. When I look back, I always think like, oh, if I was my age now doing that, we would have been so good. We would have been so amazing. But all in our 30s now and stuff. But yeah, so we couldn't really keep up with the high costs of living in Toronto, and we made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes I wouldn't make now. I wouldn't say for example, we would tour smaller towns, smaller cities around Toronto, but we wouldn't have our directions, or we would forget stuff, or we would be late, not on purpose, but we would end up half an hour late for our own sets. It was just really embarrassing, and really it wasn't. We just didn't take it seriously, and I know that some people might think that comes with the punk, but that's not true at all. The punk musicians are the most serious I've ever met. They're very serious about getting to the show on time, making sure everyone's there, making sure you get your posters up, making sure you get your the word out, all the bands paid properly. I found some of these guys to be very serious. So I would reject anybody's claim that punk musicians aren't serious. But I wasn't. Definitely I wasn't serious enough back then, but I learned a lot, and that's the important thing. What I learned from playing in these bands, I have been able to absolutely carry forward. I'm pretty good with equipment now, for example. When I joined these bands at first, I was just I'm basically just a drunk kid with a bass. You know what I mean? I couldn't I couldn't tell you anything I couldn't work with the sound guys that well. But now I know I would be able to do much more effective communicating with the sound guys, for example. Back then I couldn't negotiate with venue owners. Now I could definitely negotiate with venue owners. Not right now, of course, because coronavirus. But yeah, I mean, it's all a good experience. And if there's any lesson to take away from all of that is just as long as you learn something from it and you take it on to your next project, and you don't feel bad for yourself. I don't believe in any experience is a waste experience.
That's really. I just was thinking the same. It's kind of all these experiences made you the person you are now, and it's always with hindsight, it's always easy to look back and I would have done this and that. I think I'm a little bit older than you, so. Don't ask me, I've been married before and all this stuff. So, in hindsight, I would have done a lot of things differently. But still, and I guess this is the good point you arrived on, is all this may make you the person you are now. And now you can do things better. And like you said, I mean, you seem to have a plan right now. You have Sanityzer. You want to conquer the internet. You want to make a name for yourself. And you're doing the right stuff. It's an ocean of music out there. So it's really hard to stand out. But if you don't try, you will never. I mean, you fail right away. You know. So don't be discouraged. And you know, I know really only this one song from you. And I like it a lot. So I will put it in my playlist. And whenever you have new stuff, I will support you. And we can do more interviews in the future. So I can do my little part. And then you will meet other people. And see that's maybe a good point I always stress is you're doing this anyway because you already talked about your brother and stuff. Collaborations, you know, just reach out to other people. There's a few not so nice people out there, you know, who really think it's a dog eat dog world, and you know, if you're successful, I'm less successful, and whatever. I don't really see it this way because there is so much, you know, like you said in the beginning, there's a niche, and you know, and this is the good thing on the internet that I have my highest listener count in Mexico. I've never been in Mexico. I never been to South America. Okay, sorry, it's not South America, but anyway, I never been there, and I have listeners there. So you know, for some reason they found me. So that's the beauty on it. You know, you can you said it in the before that. It's annoying and there's a lot of groundwork and grinding and stuff. But on the other hand, you and all the others have now the chance to do something none could have done like 30 years ago or something. You needed a label, you needed someone to push you and to believe in you. And today you just need to believe in yourself and, you know, and hit slowly the right buttons, basically. But you're in a good way.
Totally, and I'd like to touch on like how like just the business aspect of this whole thing, and I think I've been fairly fortunate. Again, if I'm rambling, if off topic or anything, let me know. But I think I've been fairly fortunate.
That's our conversation here.
Excellent. I've always been fairly business minded. I've always like not in the sense of like, oh, how can I maximize profits? I mean, a little bit, but like I'll admit, but I how do I explain this without coming off the wrong way? Like I have many friends who maybe upload one song a year because it has to be perfect, absolutely perfect, and that might. And I can't speak for exactly how it was 20 or 30 years ago, but it does seem like a lot of people now just don't know how to handle the new hustle where you're going to have something. You have a lot of competition. There's a lot of reach. Yeah, of course, as you point out, you have friends. You have fans in Mexico, which is fantastic. You have the reach, but again, there's like the competition is so crazy that you have to be a lot more business minded than I think you would have otherwise. Like if you're just waiting to have the perfect moment, it's not going to come. I don't think it's going to come. Like I think the perfect moment is when everyone's looking, and you have to try and like, for example, I submit my song to like a YouTube channel who I've been watching for a couple of months, and I've always really enjoyed the music there, and I felt my song fit in pretty well, and I submitted my song, and within one day I had like that song on their channel, not my channel, their channel, had 1,000 views, which was I thought
it's good. Congratulations.
Thank you, and nothing in my time, as far as I'm aware of, nothing has ever received 1,000 views in one day. Now, not all the comments, like most of the comments were great. Like I had a lot of upvotes and stuff, which were great for the confidence. You're not going to please everybody, and that's another thing as well. I think we're going to have thicker skin. We're going to have to, in this new industry, we're going to have to be more tough, because with that reach, with that new reach that we all have, you're gonna find so many people who did not want to hear your song. You're going to find people who did not appreciate what you know, the instruments you used or what you did. They might have a very specific taste, and now people are more, for lack of like a better way to put it, the more at risk to hear music I think that they didn't want to hear. So you might have more assholes come out and be very vocal about how much they didn't like your music, but you can't you have to be strong, and you can't let those
and
people.
Also, and also the internet, just because you're sitting at home and writing this, to a faceless person, it's much easier. It's like the bad comments. If they would tell me straight into my face, I believe it will not happen. Maybe only 10% of the bad comments will be straight to my face, and I don't want to intimidate or something, but I'm a very nice guy, and I try to refrain from that. Even if I dislike a song, then I just don't listen to it anymore, and that's it. So there's no point in listening to something I don't like and then telling you how much I dislike it and whatever. But you're absolutely right. I'm completely with you. We need a thicker skin, because before it was, if you just think of little. Like you were in your little town, you had instant feedback from the crowd after you got off stage, and this and that, and now you get kind of the feedback from the world, and you in the crowd. The difference for me is, they went there, they wanted to see a show, and they have this adrenaline, and they have, they have this feeling from this. But, somebody else is munching some Doritos and listening to your stuff, and I had a bad day, just was fighting with his wife, and the kids are annoying, and then he listens to something that he doesn't like, and I'm gonna hit this guy. You see what I mean? It's kind of you're so detached from the you're so far away from the real source of the music. But anyway, you got a right point. We need to be tougher, not take it so seriously.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, people can completely anonymous. Like nobody knows who is saying these things. Like it could be anybody. And so like, and as you pointed out, they might have had a bad day. They just might be an asshole. Like if they didn't take the time to like come out to see your show and they're just home, like they're gonna be brave. They're gonna say some stuff, and it's just like. You just can't take it seriously. I'll talk about something else that's not music for 1 second. I'll get back to it. My partner, my wife, she's an author, she's a writer, and she has books on Amazon, and some of them are doing really well. And but then you have those people who just like for no reason, just like they'll just give 1 star and not say anything. It's just what was your purpose? Like what? Like are you just trying to warn other people about this book, but you didn't say anything about it? And I guess it's like it's easy. It's easy for people to be mean, I guess, and again, that just gets back to my point. Like screw them. Like whatever. Like have thick skin. Just keep pushing out the stuff. It's good. What's this quote I heard? Like if you think it's beautiful, maybe they will think it's beautiful. So you put this music out. If someone's going to be mean, just forget about it. You know what I mean? Just keep going. It's I'll tell that to anybody. It's so easy to be mean to someone online these days. It doesn't count anymore. Who cares? Like if the people are coming, and that's another thing too. If people are commenting and downvoting or whatever, it still boosts you in the algorithm. So I don't know what they're trying to prove here.
It's true. It's actually good. It's still bad publicity is still publicity. We will still talk about it and maybe send it even to their friends. Look at this asshole. He makes such bad music, and then more people listen to it, and it becomes a viral sensation, and they don't even know what we're doing. So you're absolutely right. So what are your plans now with Sanityzer? I guess I only know this one song. I guess there will be more. So that and like you said, you will work with your brother on recording stuff now. So you have less restrictions in Montreal right now with Corona going on still.
Totally, and that's one reason why I'm actually really enjoying working by myself, because it's all dependent on me now. Like when I used to be in bands with other people, like it was great. Like the work would be split up, but if there's always going to be a time when someone's not available to do something, and that like hinders the whole band, I find. So like working by myself,
bottleneck of
you got it, the bottlenecks. Like if someone, like if we're recording, like there's always someone who has a problem, and it's not to be judgmental or anything. Like everyone has their stuff, but if you're trying to get something done you're trying to stay focused, it's hard to focus with other people. Especially for me, I always had trouble focusing. But now that I'm working by myself, I'm able to actually just enter my office, just sit down and do my work, do my music, and then I have another guy who does my my mixing. I have a mix engineer because I'm of the like right now at the point I don't have like all the great equipment that that my friend has, for example, who I pay him to do my mixing and stuff. Soon, as I'm growing, I'm going to be able to properly mix and master my own demos. So I'm trying to get trying to keep up, trying to get a schedule, trying to stick to that schedule. Yeah, so just I want to be able to put out more demos, and I also learned recently that Spotify is a place where you put your polished tunes, but it's also actually a place where you can put your demos, not like your crappy demos, but like stuff that have a bit of work, because it's still a social media platform at the end of the day. It might not look exactly like the other ones, but you can treat it as such. If that's what I'm discovering from my research anyways. Now I'm going to be, my plans for the future are definitely going to try and keep up with like probably a monthly schedule would be ideal, but I'm also going to try and put other things as well, like artwork and videos and stuff as well. Like I like to feature other artists, like the cover that you saw for Hot Pipes, my debut there. That was done by a friend of mine, and he's an actual graphic designer, and he's living in Montreal, and the mix engineers in Montreal. This whole piece, everything was done by someone in Montreal, and I'm trying to keep it that way because I love Montreal. I'm trying to support the communities here. Everyone's so great. Like there's so much talent here. There's so much just raw talent in Montreal that it'd be a shame to not it'd be criminal, I think, to not give the work to these guys. To find someone cheap online, I'd rather give it to a local who has the talent. And I'm trying to keep it all within Montreal. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, I'm just keep on keeping on. I'm like do up all my online presence, have a good schedule, stick to that schedule, collaborate, grow, do stuff like what we're doing right now. I think this is fantastic. It's I think I'm on a pretty good path right now. I just have to the uncertainty of this whole new industry can be hard sometimes because a lot of the time I'm just like, okay, what the hell am I doing? And I might not be able to find what I'm looking for. I might, like, for some reason a website might not be working, like all this new technology. But other than that, I think I'm on a good path, and I think I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing, keep learning. I'll let you know what I find out, of course. If there's anything, maybe we'll do this again sometime, and I'll be able to update you on what I'm doing.
So you basically want to be also doing your own mixing and mastering in the end.
Yeah, eventually that is a plan, but I also understand that it is very helpful to have someone else have another ear, kind of maybe catch the things that you might have not been able to do. Like ideally, I will always have someone who I can at least consult, at least at a minimum consult. I want to do as much as I can by myself, because I'm really enjoying it, and I do find it somewhat frustrating to have to wait for other people. I can be kind of impatient, but eventually I'd like to do as much as I can by myself. With anything that's going to be like an authoritative song of mine is probably going to be mixed and mastered by somebody else, just for that extra ear. But yeah.
Okay, so you kind of distinguish between demos you want to do yourself, but some real album work somebody will do it for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, because I don't know what's your time constraints right now or something, but for me always it's kind of like I'm always looking for people who can do things I need better than me, because I'm with you can learn everything, but I don't see the point in learning something kind of maybe half-ass way. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about myself. And then just being able to do it, and somebody else does it maybe in half an hour, where I need to watch a lot of tutorials and work for 3 hours or something. You get my point? So I'm more like I said, more collaborating guy, because I know there's thousands of other people out there who are much better in certain things than I am. So I rather find them and help they help me out, and I help them out in a different capacity or something. So this is my approach. But I respect yours, of course, and I understand for an impatient person, that's the fun part today. You can everything yourself, Some, I'm on SubMithub. This is where we met, right? And I get a lot of songs there, and people write, I recorded this alone in my bedroom, like you can put in, when you submit a song to me, you can write something to it. And then I'm like,
and there we go.
Because often, not always, often it's really like, okay, yeah, you can, man, this is, okay, it needs some polish, and but sometimes it's really great stuff. So some people really know their things. And also you said with the artwork, I was also impressed by the artwork, because for me the first thing I see when I see a new song is the artwork. Before I click it and can hear the music, I see the artwork. So if I see a very badly photoshopped whatever thrown together stuff, then I'm really like, okay.
Yeah. For sure.
Let's get through this. And of course, sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised, but most of the time, if it's a really bad cover, it's usually also not that great of a music, because when you can see, like you did, you put some effort into it. That it kind of fits with the music. You're welcome. Bienvenue.
Bienvenue.
You put some effort into it, and this really shows. And this is, my recommendation to you anyway. But you're doing it already right. To show that you care about your music and the whole package. The cover is, of course, not the music, but it says a lot. And this is what people like me see first if you send your song to other people.
Totally. Right.
Maybe this could be, only if you want to talk about it, is what are your strategies to promote yourself? We're doing kind of a promotion right now, right? So
totally.
What else have you used? And maybe we can get into this, and I can put my perspective on it, because, I'm in the game as well. So what strategy has worked for you best? You already said that you put it to this YouTube channel where you get 1,000 hits on one day. What else have you done, or what was successful for you?
Well, I've been just emailing, reaching out, talking to people has been very helpful. Chat rooms, Discord. I've been pretty active on some Discord. I'm just trying to find ways to politely, obviously, not trying to, I know you have millions of people throwing shit in your face all the time. Just trying to politely just be like, hey, my name's Josh. Sanityzer is my project. Here's what I have. If it's something that you might be able to see on your playlist or your channel, I would love to talk more about it. And people have been really appreciative of that. I think we're at an hour. I think I actually have to go. I was unfortunately this time, but So in terms of my networking, it's all just been like organic as possible. I'm trying to just talk to people, just try and be legit and organic as best as I can. And people have been really kind to that. It resonated well with that.
Mm-hmm. So you mean you need to go now? Physically leave, or what?
Yes, yeah. I think
okay.
I think we were talking about doing an hour, and I think I do have to go at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you for your time. I will send you the links to this talk as soon as it's uploaded.
Amazing.
And it will become a podcast also later on, on Spotify and iTunes and wherever. But this will take a while, because I do only once a week. So you're a little bit in the back end right now.
That's no problem, of course.
Okay, good. Thank you for your time, and say hi to the lovely Montreal. I love it, and talk to you in a while. When you got some new stuff out, let's talk again.
Okay, Tobias, yeah, it was amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Montreal definitely misses you, and next, you'll be back. You'll be back. Everyone.
I will be back. I hope so too. Let's get this Corona stuff over, and then I will be back. That's for sure.
You got it. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye bye.
Take care.